Hey everyone, welcome to the Return of the Logos podcast, where we're attempting to return logic to a chaotic world by shining a light on the shadows. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing, tuning in, downloading, whatever it is you're doing. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for all the support. It's Return of the Logos. We want to talk today a little bit about how corruption and incompetence are just different sides of the same coin. Corruption is inevitably going to lead to incompetence because if you're only focused on serving yourself, you don't really care about the outcome for other people. In this case, if we're talking politics or the media, you don't care about the outcome for the public.
That was never the intention anyway.
What do you mean?
If you're corrupt, whatever you say is your intention.
Isn't your intention
It's
anyway.
not your intention, so you don't really care if it works.
Yeah, good point. That's a really good point.
Right?
Yeah?
So there's no follow-through.
Yeah, no follow-through. So incompetence being the outgrowth of corruption. We're going to talk a little bit about Joe Biden pardoning a lot of people on his way out of office, which isn't necessarily odd, although the people that he pardoned was fairly odd. I want to start out by reading an op-ed written by James Comer. He was the head of the House Oversight Committee. The House Oversight Committee did an investigation into some of the business dealings, shall we say, of Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son. So here's the James Comer op-ed. This week, President Biden followed his unprecedented pardon of his son, Hunter Biden, by issuing additional preemptive pardons to family members dating back to his time as vice president. These preemptive pardons for the Biden crime family serve as a confession of their corruption as they sold out the American people to enrich themselves. In fact, Biden's own Justice Department has argued that accepting a pardon implies an admission of guilt. When we started our investigation of Joe Biden and his family's influence peddling schemes, the narrative peddled by legacy media was that the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop were disinformation. Joe Biden claimed that his family's business dealings were ethical. But our investigation blew through these lies and more as we followed the money trail and conducted a forensic accounting of the Biden family quote-unquote business. During our investigation, the House Oversight Committee reviewed hundreds of pages of documents at the U.S. Department of the Treasury generated by the Bidens and their associates' high-dollar transactions. These documents are filed by experts at banks when there is evidence of potential money laundering and other criminal activity. Additionally, we obtained the bank records for Hunter Biden, James Biden, their shell companies, and business associates. Bank records don't lie. Through these records, we identified over 20 shell companies that the Bidens and their associates created, most of which were created after Joe Biden became vice president of the United States. The Bidens and their associates then used these shell companies to accept payments from foreign entities and individuals. Once the payments arrived at the shell companies' bank accounts, they would then launder money in incremental payments to members of the Biden family. In fact, we identified 10 members of the Biden family who benefited from these schemes, including Joe Biden. Including loans that do not appear to have been paid back, the Biden family's enrichment scheme generated over $30 million in payments to the Bidens and their associates from corrupt foreign entities and individuals in China, Russia, Ukraine, Romania, and Kazakhstan. What were they selling? Access to Joe Biden and his influence. After we obtained the bank records, the Oversight Committee hauled in members of the Biden family and their associates for testimony. Multiple Biden family associates confirmed Joe Biden was, quote-unquote, the brand sold around the world and helped close the Biden's deals with foreign nationals. Devin Archer, a Biden family associate, confirmed during a transcribed interview that when Joe Biden was vice president, Joe Biden dined with Russian oligarch Yelena Baturina, Kazakhstani oligarch Kenez Rakashev, sorry if I'm pronouncing these names wrong, Rakashev, and Burisma's corporate secretary, Vadim Pozharsky, at Cafe Milano in Washington, D.C. These dinners occurred shortly before or after the foreign nationals or their affiliated entities were collectively paying Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, millions of dollars. Then Vice President Joe Biden also met with Jonathan Lee, a Chinese national who was Hunter Biden's associate, and wrote a college letter of recommendation for his daughter. Even when presented with this evidence, President Biden continued to lie to the American people. Rob Walker, a Biden family associate who was involved in the Biden's dealings with Chinese and Romanian entities, confirmed during a transcribed interview that Joe Biden met with the now missing chairman of CEFC, Ye Yingmeng, as Hunter Biden and his associates received $3 million from a Chinese entity CEFC controlled. Jason Galanis, another Biden family business associate, testified that Hunter Biden put his father on speakerphone with Yelena Baturina. Joe Biden ended the call by stating, quote, "Okay then, you be good to my boy," unquote. A few days later, Baturina committed to a quote-unquote hard order of $10 to $20 million to an entity benefiting Hunter Biden. Tony Bobulinski articulated under oath that Joe Biden was quote-unquote the brand the Bidens sold to enrich the family. Joe Biden not only knew about his family's dealings with the Chinese Communist Party-linked energy company, but he also enabled them and participated in them. Tony Bobulinski testified he believes Joe Biden committed wrongdoing and continues to lie to the American people about his participation in his family's influence peddling schemes. As we presented all this evidence to the American people in a transparent way, the legacy media claimed there was no evidence of wrongdoing by Joe Biden and his family. Joe Biden's pardons of his family serve as an indictment of the legacy media who lost all credibility as they covered up Joe Biden and his family's abuse of power, corruption, and obstruction. Following Joe Biden's pardons, even former President Obama's chief of staff, Bill Daley, said it, quote, confirms that there are serious concerns about culpability. The American people have seen through the Biden's lies and the legacy media's cover-up, and they know the truth. President Biden abused his public office to create a slush fund for his family. President Biden will go down as the most corrupt president in U.S. history, and our investigation will be remembered as one of the most successful ever conducted by Congress. Indeed, Joe Biden's final act in office, pardoning his family, confirms it. Rep. James Comer, Representative of Kentucky, is chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. So, that's interesting. So I thought after that, I would go ahead and do a quick read of Joe Biden's actual statement that he put out, pardoning his family. This is what Joe Biden actually wrote and the members of his family that he pardoned. My family has been subjected to unrelenting attacks and threats motivated solely by a desire to hurt me, the worst kind of partisan politics. Unfortunately, I have no reason to believe these attacks will end. I believe in the rule of law, and I am optimistic that the strength of our legal institutions will ultimately prevail over politics. But baseless and politically motivated investigations wreak havoc on the lives, safety, and financial security of targeted individuals and their families. Even when individuals have done nothing wrong and will ultimately be exonerated, the mere fact of being investigated or prosecuted can irreparably damage their reputations and finances. That is why I'm exercising my power under the Constitution to pardon James B. Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, John T. Owens, and Francis W. Biden. The issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that they engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense. So, James Biden and Francis Biden are his brothers. Valerie Biden Owens is his sister. Sarah Jones Biden is his sister-in-law. And John Owens is his brother-in-law. That was interesting that he mentioned in his statement, even when individuals have done nothing wrong and will ultimately be exonerated, the mere fact of being investigated or prosecuted can irreparably damage their reputations and finances. So maybe that's what they were doing to Trump for the last 4 years.
Well, I thought the justice system wasn't weaponized.
Oh, absolutely not.
what exactly is he talking about? His son got a sweetheart deal.
Mm-hmm.
They slow walked the investigation.
Yeah. The agent on Hunter Biden's IRS case was basically told to shelve it for a long time, too.
Yeah, I mean, they were treating him differently for political reasons.
Yeah.
But it was in his advantage. It was in his favor.
Yeah. So now he's scared.
What's he talking about?
Yeah. What's he talking about?
It's accountability. Everything that's happening right now, it's all about accountability.
Yeah. They don't want to be accountable for the things that they know they've done. And I mean, I understand that people who don't follow politics all the time and don't get down into the weeds, they may not necessarily know the nuances of everything that happened to Trump, and they may think that there was legitimacy to a lot of the stuff that they were doing to Trump. It's clear if you look into it at all, it's not. None of it was legitimate at all. It was clearly political.
Yeah, I mean, in order for us to go into that, that's literally a whole episode on lawfare.
Yeah, which we're not going to get into that whole thing today, but we can at a later date. And like I said, once you hear it all and it's broken down, you realize it was clearly, political weaponization of the Department of Justice. I would call that the essence of corruption, using your power to benefit yourself while simultaneously using that power to, what would you say, hamstring your opponents or worse. I don't know if any of you remember, Andy, I'm sure you probably do, in Trump's first term, I mean, they were constantly going after Trump and his family. There were rumors that Trump was going to try to give preemptive pardons to his family. And everybody kind of lost their minds about it. Politicians were speaking out against it. The media was speaking out against it. In fact, we have a clip here of Mr. Chuck Schumer commenting on this very thing.
Yeah. Let's see what Schumer thinks about whether it's okay to preemptively pardon.
The president seems intent on filling each of his remaining days in office with petulance, grievance, self-interest. The president's reportedly asking his staff about whether he can issue. President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr. President, that would be a gross abuse of the presidential pardon authority.
It would be so gross.
So gross.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe intensely probing in a gross way.
Oh, he is sharp. He is intensely probing. What did he do to you, Mayorkas? What did he do to you? So intense.
So probing.
So probing.
So fresh, so face. Yeah. Anybody who listens to Shapiro will get that.
Okay, so like the hypocrisy is obviously blatant here.
Yeah, I mean, and you kind of wonder, like, yeah, there's corruption, but you also starts to make you think how much of it is all actually political theater as well. I tend to think very little of most of these people, so I kind of lean into corruption.
The reason he is fearful that his family members are going to have a run-in with the judicial system or the justice system is because they were all involved in criminal influence peddling. That's obvious to anyone that's paying attention.
Anybody that's paying attention.
It's obvious.
Right, it's obvious.
We didn't mention it when we talked about Hunter Biden's pardon, but going back to 2014, he has a blanket pardon for
anything. Yes.
Anything that he's done.
Yeah, and interestingly, the pardons for all of his family members go back to 2014 as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take a whole lot of brain cells to connect some of these dots, and I guess even the media thinks that we're going to forget. Andy, didn't the media have something to say about the idea of Trump preemptively pardoning his family?
Yeah, so sources close to the president, Trump,
Meaning the guy that stood at the
Some
door
guy,
when he walked
some guy
by.
was like listening through the crack of the door. Apparently, sources said that Trump was asking if it would be smart for him to do a preemptive pardon for members of his family. Now, keep in mind, this is after 2 impeachments, all on, no pun intended, trumped up nonsense based off of opposition research. All of the lawfare and all of the impeachments, everything is about protecting corruption.
Yes, absolutely.
In my opinion, it's all about protecting corruption. The machine was terrified of Trump because they didn't own him.
Yep.
We are going to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C.
That's right, buddy.
Yes.
That's right.
That's the way I see it too. It's
Right.
that there was a machine and this guy came in that wasn't approved. He couldn't be bought because he's already a billionaire.
Yep.
And so what are they going to do with him?
They're going to endlessly attack him, character assassination in the media. And then they're going to, if he asks someone, a trusted advisor, and then this information is leaked, because he was surrounded by enemies the whole time his first term.
Yeah. Donald Trump was just asking about the idea of preemptive pardons because during his whole term, they were coming after him and his family.
Yeah.
Both of his sons, they were going after both of them as well. And they found nothing.
Yeah, so
He was kind of legitimately asking, like, should I do this because the government is being weaponized against me and my family?
yeah,
Whereas Joe Biden, what was weaponized against him? Nothing.
he had documents that he took from the White House when he was vice president. He did not have the ability to declassify anything when he was vice president. He had documents at multiple places, including in his garage next to the Corvette.
Next to the Corvette, yep.
Right? So exact same thing that they raided Mar-a-Lago for.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they chose not to prosecute.
And the reason they chose not to prosecute because he was a doddering old man that had no idea of all the things that he had done wrong because he was senile.
Yes, he was senile. We're lightening that up a little bit, but with the verbiage we're using, but that's essentially what the investigators said.
Yeah.
We're not going to pursue it because he didn't know.
He shouldn't have done this, but I don't think he's aware.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, he's not aware. Of course he's not.
Yeah.
He's lost it.
Yeah.
And by the way, who wrote that pardon? Because it wasn't Biden.
Yeah.
The only thing Biden can tell you right now is what ice cream flavor he likes.
Maybe not even that. I don't know.
You know, I mean, he's... So anyway, sorry, rant. So let's see what the media says when someone allegedly overhears Trump asking whether it's a good idea. By the way, he did not do this. He did not pardon them because there were no crimes.
Correct.
So he was like, you know what? Bring it on.
Is that a thing? Preemptive blanket pardons? I mean, I haven't heard about this since like Monopoly with a get out of jail free card.
Trump has discussed with advisors whether to grant preemptive pardons. What does that say? That he wants to excuse them for things before anybody's even saying there's an investigation.
President Trump, as he winds down his last few weeks in office, is considering preemptive pardons. What a mess. More as we know.
Source saying that some of the president's inner circle, well, they're telling him that it would be perfectly fine to pardon his family and other associates preemptively, even though they haven't been charged with any crimes. How much damage could be done to this country can he do to this country on his way out?
That's a good question.
That is a great question. All of the intense journalisming that's going on over at CNN.
So much journalism.
It's just all over the place, you know.
It's impressive.
Yeah. So that's some wonderful journalisming from CNN and MSNBC right there. But curiously enough, if any of you have been paying attention to the news, maybe we've got you guys a little more interested in this stuff and maybe you have been following a little bit more. Not a peep from any mainstream legacy media outlet regarding any type of condemnation of Joe Biden, pardoning any of his family.
Yeah, they kind of held their breath for like a day
Yeah,
because they knew.
yeah. And the interesting thing too is Biden did pardon a lot of people. I won't get into everyone he pardoned because there were several thousand. Some really bad people actually, but some interesting ones to maybe take note of. Good old Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Fauci, science himself.
Quite frankly,
They're really
I am the science.
I am science.
When they're attacking me, they're attacking the science.
Science. I am science.
So Mr. Mark Milley as well was preemptively pardoned. And here is an interesting tidbit for those who weren't paying attention. All of the members and staff, not just the members, but staff of the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, including everyone's favorite Republican, Liz Cheney, and their second favorite Republican, Adam Kinzinger, Claire Benny Thompson, Zoe Lofgren, good old pencil neck Adam Schiff. Isn't that what Trump called him? Pencil neck?
Pencil neck, yeah. Shifty Schiff.
Shifty Schiff. Pete Aguilar, Stephanie Murphy, one of my favorites, Jamie Raskin, and Elaine Loria. So those were all the committee members of the January 6th committee.
I wonder why.
Why would you preemptively pardon those people? They didn't do anything wrong. They were just doing their job as investigative body of the U.S. Congress, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was all above board.
Totally above board.
It wasn't.
I mean, it's not like they went out and hired a Hollywood producer to put this thing on or anything.
No, and it's not like they took federal law enforcement from across the country and had them following around J6ers on planes and try to find a person in search of a crime. They didn't do. They didn't do that.
They wouldn't do that because they're not weaponized.
No,
totally not weaponized.
No.
To step away from the sarcasm for a moment, what was the girl's name? Cassidy Hutchinson. Yeah, I think that's her name.
Yeah.
Cassidy Hutchinson testified under oath to the January 6th committee. Someone told her that they overheard from someone else. So that's already hearsay. I mean, that's not an objectionable thing in court, is it? Right? No, that's okay. But it was hearsay to begin with that when they were taking Trump, when he gave a speech on January 6th, taking him back to the White House, that he wanted to go to the Capitol and get with the people, and the Secret Service driver of the limo told him no, and Trump tried to choke out the driver of his Secret Service limo. That's not even possible. And no one ever even says anything. And the interesting thing is that reportedly Liz Cheney met with her beforehand to go over her testimony.
To go over the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So witness tampering for 200.
Well, and Trump jokes about it.
Yeah.
His version of it is like, the people, they tell me, they say, don't deny that story. It makes you look so cool. Like, these guys are physically fit, trained in the prime of their life, and makes you sound so tough to grab one of them by the neck or whatever. He's like, I don't even think I could grab this guy's neck. Yeah. You know, he's like, if you were around one of these guys, you would not even consider taking a shot at him.
Right. In all seriousness, though, anybody with their eyes open and just a couple of brain cells can kind of see what's going on here. And for me, it's very concerning. But the Trump administration now is trying to clean all this up.
There's a lot of light that's being shown right now.
Yes, there's a lot of light being shown, and I like his tactic of just like, it's just every day, something new he throws at him. So
he's got to go fast. He's got to go fast because, like we've already talked about, they were fighting him from within the organization.
Yeah.
They were terrified the first time.
Yeah.
Because they're like, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
Now he knows
He knows all the levers to pull. He knows where the bodies
what
are
they were
buried.
doing to him too.
Yeah, he had 4 years to learn, and then he had 4 years to plan, right? I think that's the benefit, to be honest. I actually think that him losing in 2020 was probably the better thing. It gave him 4 years to plan. It gave him 4 years to stew over it.
Well, and it also gave the American public some time to sink in. Do we really want to make our decisions about who's leading us based off of what the media is telling us?
Right.
Based off of all this? Because I know that when I go to the grocery, everything's twice as much.
Yeah.
I know that I'm struggling. The whole disinformation campaign, where half of the country was being silenced.
Yeah. On social media and everywhere.
Yeah. And the whole telling everybody that they're racist all the time. And then telling real women that they're not as important as men who just decided they were going to be women the day before. Everything was all upside down and backwards. Even liberals.
Yeah.
People, I don't think people really think that way. Like acceptance of other people and all that kind of stuff. But America is seeing a bunch of stuff that they don't want. Even liberals, I don't think they don't have ill will towards trans people or gay people or whatever.
Yeah.
But why is this the most important thing? All this DEI crap and
when you make the fringe the center, the normal, regular mass of people look like the crazy ones. And so going back to your point of the, disinfo, to get kind of back into our topic of corruption, there's been a big hullabaloo about Trump going after the USAID and basically just kind of putting all of the payments from USAID on pause so it can be evaluated to see. It's part of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency that Elon Musk is running. He's been tasked with going in and finding waste and trying to cut the waste, which I don't see any regular person who would think that's a bad thing. I mean, it's our money, right? But anyway, USAID, a taxpayer-funded entity, has actually been using your money to silence you. Check this out.
Disinformation has invaded online conversations on social media platforms, posing challenges to healthy information environments and threats to democracy. It bolsters authoritarians, weakens democratic voices and participation, exploits and exacerbates existing social cleavages, and silences opposition. Countering disinformation and promoting information integrity are necessary priorities for ensuring democracy can thrive. The CEP's Countering Disinformation Guide is a resource including 9 thematic sections and a comprehensive database of interventions highlighting various approaches for advancing information integrity and strengthening societal resilience to disinformation and other harmful online campaigns.
So if this was a video podcast and you guys could see that, in the bottom corner, it shows it's funded by the USAID. This is the stuff that really, it really makes me mad because freedom of speech is a huge priority. I don't care if you don't like my opinion. I don't care if I don't like your opinion. We all have the right to say what we want to say. I'm not an absolutist. Obviously, I don't think that you should be able to threaten people. Any other speech, I think you should be 100% allowed. And they've used this label of disinformation as a cudgel to shut people up, as a reason to kick people off of social media, to basically unperson them on the internet. And that it's something that it really irritates me.
So a couple points. One, whatever the Democrats are accusing everyone else of doing, they either have done it, are currently doing it, or are getting ready to do it.
Yes.
Okay? That's a theme that
rings true.
Anybody that talks to me or anybody that hears this podcast, you're going to hear that theme over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing that I noticed in the disinformation campaign ad from USAID is that they're saying that people use disinformation to silence opposition.
Yeah.
Like,
Funny.
It's not even ironic.
Yeah.
It's so pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The other thing is, when you're over the target.
Yes.
With these Dems.
Mm-hmm.
They're freaking out right now.
Yes, they are.
Because their slush fund, their $50 billion slush fund.
Of our money.
It's not their money. It's our money.
Yes.
So I don't know what they thought was going to happen. I think they thought it was just going to be like any other time where someone makes campaign promises. Trump ran on this. Okay?
Yeah, and that's the thing is that everybody is freaking out and they're saying that what he's doing is unconstitutional, it's authoritarian and all of this, and Elon Musk is unelected and he doesn't have the right to be doing this. And it's like everything that he's doing, he has specifically addressed in his campaign, right? He talked about cutting government waste. He talked about getting rid of DEI. He talked about all this stuff that he's saying he was going to do it, and the people voted yes. Okay?
Yeah.
So I get it and I understand, but I don't understand why they're freaking out. I mean, unless, like you said, it's just they thought he was just, They're
freaking out because he's over the target.
He's over the target, yeah.
Okay? He made all these campaign promises. All of the people that are freaking out and saying, Elon Musk wasn't elected, this is not constitutional, blah, blah, blah. No, it's all under the executive branch. Donald Trump was elected, and he ran on this stuff.
Yes.
And he said it up front, okay? And the people voted for it, and they had no problem with all of the bureaucrats that are now getting laid off that were not elected.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
They had no problem with those people essentially running the government. Yeah.
No problem with those people.
And
but
all
as
of
soon as
the
Elon does
wasteful spending and all of the nonsense the taxpayers don't want to spend money on.
Mm-hmm.
The people that just voted for Trump, they voted for this stuff to stop.
Yes.
Okay. People are done with it.
Mm-hmm.
People are done with it. Okay. And the legacy media and the Dems are still holding on to it. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do because they've been preaching this same religion for so long. And as soon as they're repudiated, they have no idea what to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, everybody's racist and no, trans, but and the children, think about the children. Oh,
they're going to kill themselves.
Meanwhile, they're just panicked. They're just panicked because all of their corruption, it's money laundering is what it is.
Yes.
It's taking taxpayer dollars, money laundering through USAID. Now, here's the thing. There are probably programs that USAID has that
are legit,
probably do go to help people less fortunate that the American people could get behind.
Yes.
And those programs will come back.
For sure. And that's the thing.
But right now it's like root and stem. We have to stop this, okay? Because that's what they didn't do in the first term, was go into all these organizations and be like, who are all the people that are not going to do what I'm asking
to do? Yeah. And I love this saying, it's always gauge the effectiveness of your strategy by the reaction of your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And so if Trump does something and nobody's freaking out about it, then he's maybe off the mark. But with this one, they're all freaking out. All of them. And I mean, they've even got just the regular libs online. Like my wife watches these, sees all these videos on Instagram and stuff, and like people are free. Elon Musk is, I froze my credit. So because Elon Musk has access to all of our social security numbers, I'm like, and I told my wife, I said, Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. Do you think he gives a shit about opening a credit card in your name?
You stupid freaking TikToker.
It's so ridiculous. It's so stupid. So stupid.
Yeah.
I laughed. I laughed when she told me that.
It's intentionally dense, and that's what they're being fed.
Yes. But yeah, like I said, the Democrats built the bureaucratic machine, and they had no problem with the bureaucratic machine when it was doing what they wanted.
Meaning unelected officials. Making decisions about our tax state.
Making all the decisions, funneling our money where they wanted. But now Elon Musk is unelected. He doesn't have the right to do that. It's like, you people can shove it.
It's absurd.
Shove it.
It's absurd.
And like you said, I'm absolutely 100% sure that some of the money is going to legit stuff, and everything's just on pause.
That'll all get sorted.
It'll all get sorted out.
Get sorted.
The legit stuff will come back. But one of the interesting ones that I saw from USAID, $8 million. Now, in the grand scheme of the national GDP budget,
it's a drop in the bucket, but that's not the point.
It's not even a drop, but that's not the point.
It's not the point.
$8 million to Politico. Politico, a news website. I mean, we all kind of know that the press is kind of just like the mouthpiece for Democrats. I mean, this is just shining a light on it and saying, yeah, we knew that, and here's the evidence.
I think they found a line item for it was over $500,000. It was like 500 something for like 36 subscriptions.
Well, yeah. That's the funny thing.
That is an expensive newspaper. It must be really, really good. Or someone's getting paid to launder information that is advantageous to a certain party in power.
Sure. And I mean, look, I don't know how these media organizations work. I have heard that some of them do offer these type of, premium is not the right word, but I don't know the proper word for it, but some type of premium type subscription thing specifically for government. I guess it's a way for them to have a legal channel to, give the government a heads up, or the government to give them a heads up about something. I don't know. But that's essentially...
Politico's also a fact-checker organization.
Yes, they are fact checkers, so, we can trust that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all of that money came in through these quote-unquote subscriptions, and it's just mind-blowing.
Still seems a little pricey, doesn't it? A little pricey.
But the thing to me is the corruption is just so out in the open. Well, at this point it is. It wasn't before, because nobody knows anything about USAID. Nobody knows where the money goes.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
Caroline
Levitt.
A Star is Born.
Yeah, she's 27 years old, man.
She's a badass.
She's a really good press secretary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see how any person of sound mind can hear that and think that it's a bad thing that we're cutting that off. It's like we were saying, it's yeah, that money is not even a grain of sand on the beach that is the U.S. economy. I understand, but that's not the point. Why are you taking my money and giving it to promote or help produce a transgender opera? No, I don't want it to go to that. I don't want it to go to DEI in Ireland or Serbia. I don't want it to go there. I want it to stay here for my fellow citizens, for the protection of our country, for the betterment of our people, because I'm sorry, you can't take care of everyone else if you can't take care of yourself. I mean, Caroline Levitt didn't mention it, but I heard there was another line item of $2 million for transgender clinics in Guatemala. Well, hell, we're already letting them all in through the border. Why can't we just do the clinics here?
And they're uncovering more and more. Some of this is taking taxpayer dollars and weaponizing it against taxpayers.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Millions of dollars for meal plans for terrorists, basically providing food to terrorists.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned Politico, but they gave $2.1 million so that the BBC can strengthen the media ecosystem in Libya.
The British Broadcasting Company.
Yeah. And here was their objective. This was designed to value the diversity of Libyan society. So again, this is all DEI crap.
Libya, that's a super diverse place, man.
Yeah.
Super diverse.
$2.5 million to promote inclusion in Vietnam. Just the fact that they gave, I don't care what they say it's for, the fact that they gave $2 million to the BBC.
Yeah, that's like, no. Like
and that they're giving money to Politico. These people, I don't want my taxpayer money going to them.
No, and that's the thing is like the BBC, the citizens of Great Britain fund that. Matter of fact, I actually heard they have a tax. Like when you buy a TV, you have to pay when you buy a TV for a license, and that's what funds the BBC along with other tax money. Interesting little tidbit, but sorry, I didn't mean to get sidetracked.
$6.3 million to men who have sex with men in South Africa. I don't know if that's like a prostitution ring for men or what that is.
Male brothels?
Not sure. $8.3 million for the education inside of USAID for equity and inclusion. So all those grifters that are doing the DEI training,
they're training them how to
be
more inclusive. But they're the ones that are telling us how to be inclusive, right?
And apparently that costs over $8 million to do that.
Unbelievable.
$16.8 million to separate group in Vietnam for inclusion. This is just people giving money to their causes and their friends. This is huge money laundering.
Huge money laundering. It's a slush fund. And look, JFK started the USAID. I think it was 1963. And originally it was started to basically help countries combat the spread of communism. So the original intention of it was, I think, well-intentioned, right? But it's like, okay, well, now what do we do with it? The Soviet Union's dead. So it becomes a pet project. And it just turns into a line item on somebody's spreadsheet. Oh, well, we've always funded it, so we'll just keep funding it. And there's no oversight on it, right? So there's no oversight. It's been a liberal project since the beginning.
And that's why they're panicked.
And that's why they're panicked. It's been a liberal project. It always has been. It always will be. So they can funnel the money to their little liberal pet projects, which is at this point in time is DEI.
It's all DEI. It's all LGBTQ.
Plus minus divided by sign.
Yeah. You have this massive slush fund that they use to fund all these DEI initiatives everywhere. And they're just pissed. They're just pissed because, again, we're over the target.
Yeah.
We found their little spot for them to funnel money and pay people to do stuff. But the DEI stuff is across the boards. It's through the entire governmental system.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, the FAA.
Yeah.
That's another current event. That's a perfect example.
So to recap, there was the military Black Hawk helicopter that collided with a commercial plane landing at Reagan Airport. Everybody died. It's horrific, tragic. When Trump came out and was talking about it, personally, I didn't think it was the appropriate time, but during that press conference about it, he did mention, we think that this is what happens when you have DEI at the center of, and I thought it was a little inappropriate timing. Maybe save that for the next day or two.
Maybe just a little too soon.
Yeah. But
I agree.
But he did have a point, because we know now that the air traffic control tower was supposed to have two people, one guy or gal that was supposed to be handling the commercial traffic and someone else who was handling the military traffic. And we know now that they only had one person in the control tower handling both. We also know that the pilot of the Black Hawk, first off, she was off course by, I can't remember. Do you remember how far off course
I
she
think
was?
she was a 500-hour trainee.
Yes.
Okay. And she was almost a mile off course.
Yes.
And
100 feet
altitude,
too high.
Her altitude was,
100 feet too high.
Yeah.
So, look, this isn't to say, like, I don't know anything about the air traffic controller. I don't know anything about the pilot. But what I can say is that when you have hiring practices based on DEI, meaning basically we want everything except like a straight white guy first, when you impose those kind of restrictions based on something racist and stupid like that,
based on quotas,
this leads into the incompetence part. What's going to happen is you're not going to get as many people coming in. Instead of just hiring the good people that apply, you're going to reject good people that apply because they don't meet that quota.
So the corruption is the DEI grift, and the incompetence is the fact that they don't actually care.
Correct.
About what is happening. It's more about the grift than it is about the reality that creates.
Yeah, because they don't care that there was only one person staffing the tower.
Yeah.
It's maybe not even incompetence at this particular thing, but it's definitely understaffing. But I guess that would be a branch of incompetence if you can't hire enough people.
It's the FAA.
Right.
Their intention should not be to have the most diverse. Let me just say something. They always go to this diversity is our biggest strength. Mm-hmm. Okay. They always go to this. And it's not true diversity that they're talking about.
No.
Okay. If you were to say you had a bunch of professionals and they were all coming at something from a different angle and they were all merit-based hires, but they had different perspectives.
That's diversity.
That would be a strength, right?
Yes, that would be a strength.
There is no diversity of thought. All they're talking about is racism and sexism.
Yes.
That's all they're talking about.
Yeah, you articulated that way better than I did.
Right.
And we know that the FAA has a DEI policy. We know it. Why do we know it?
Because they promote it.
I'm Brad Mims, Deputy Administrator at the Federal Aviation Administration. We are looking for the best and brightest to join us as air traffic controllers. We need a diverse group of air traffic controllers to bring distinct perspectives to handle the ever-changing aerospace landscape. I'm calling on students and alumni from HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and tribal colleges to apply now to become air traffic controllers. I don't want anyone interested to miss out on this amazing career opportunity. Make sure you complete your full application during our application window. The short application window ends on May 8th. We need a diverse, next-generation air traffic workforce with people from all backgrounds. So apply now.
So my question is, what diverse perspective do you want directing air traffic? It's like one plane go this way, second plane go that way, make them not hit. What diversity of thought is required to control air traffic? There's none. There is none.
No, it's not merit-based. It's not merit-based, and that is the problem. Because, first of all, they're not doing anybody any favors by doing this.
No.
So they're valuing people based off of their skin color or their sex or who they have sex with.
Yeah.
He didn't mention gender. That is a big part of DEI.
It's a huge part of DEI.
But he basically said, if you're black, you're Mexican, or you're an Indian.
Yeah. We want you.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Like, I don't care about what your qualifications are. They should just want people that know how to do that job.
Yeah, I want somebody that wants this job.
Yeah.
That's who I want. I want somebody that wants the job.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody who is like, the FAA is hiring people with my skin color, so I'm going to go do that.
Yeah, and again, I don't care what your skin color is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Maybe you're a pilot that doesn't want to travel anymore. You got a family or something, and I don't know. Yeah. Have some idea of how this thing works.
Yeah. Unlike a gentleman who was nominated to be the head of the FAA under Joe Biden. Let's check this out.
Let's see what this guy knows about running the FAA, let alone being an air traffic controller.
Mr. Washington, can you quickly tell me what airspace requires an ADS-B transponder?
Not sure I can answer that question right now.
That's okay. We'll just keep going. So that's a pretty important part. So what are the 6 types of special use airspace that protect this national security that appear on FAA charts?
Sorry, Senator, I cannot answer that question.
Okay, so what are the operational limitations of a pilot flying under basic med?
Senator, I'm not a pilot, so...
but obviously you'd oversee the Federal Aviation Administration, so any idea what those restrictions are under basic med, quickly?
Well, some of the restrictions I think would be high blood pressure. Some of them would be...
It's more like how many passengers per airplane, how many pounds in different categories, and what altitude you can fly under. So, and then amount of knots. It's under 250 knots. So it's not having anything to do with blood pressure. So can you tell me what causes an aircraft to spin or to stall?
Again, Senator, I'm not a pilot.
I'm pretty sure you don't have to be a pilot to be an air traffic controller or to run the FAA. I'm just saying.
So what do you guys think his qualifications were?
Anyone? Bueller.
So it's obvious that he had no idea in any of the basic stuff that someone that would be working for him would need to know.
Yeah.
So how would he evaluate?
Yeah, how does he know?
Oh, wait, we already know that because the guy before him said that he wants a bunch of Indians and Mexicans and black people.
Yeah. And, that's how he's qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know because you didn't see a video, but that was a black gentleman.
Yep. That was the pick. He's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best. We're going to put him in charge of it, the whole thing.
Right. So
it's just, it's absurd.
It's absurd.
And I got nothing against that guy. I don't know.
No, yeah.
I mean, at least he took a shot at it. He's like, maybe something to do with blood pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, at least he took a shot,
Aim for the stars. You might hit the moon.
Hey, buddy. Good for you. He's like, I don't think I can answer that right now. I'm pretty sure you can't answer that.
You can't answer that ever.
Ever. Right.
Yeah. So to me, this is the thing that's so offensive about DEI. Well, not the only thing that's offensive because, I mean, DEI it's just racist.
Yeah.
It is because you're selecting people based on an immutable characteristic as opposed to their qualifications or anything else about them, right? And that's the definition of racism. But this is offensive as well because, like we were saying before, if you're just trying to fill a quota, then you're going to end up with people who are not qualified to do the job. It's just that simple. And this may have been like a tough thread for some of you. The way my brain works, this was the thread, how corruption leads to incompetence. Because you've got the corrupt DEI agenda, all these people that just want to line their pockets.
They're chasing a grift. And because of that, they implement these policies and you get incompetent people. You don't have enough people. You know what? It's even worse than that. It's even worse than just chasing a grift. Because the whole reason for all this DEI and all this trans stuff is for people to gain political power.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a grift, but when I say grift, I'm talking about like DEI trainers.
Oh, yeah.
That make their living going from business to business.
Yeah.
Telling white people how they're racist and telling black people how they should hate them.
Did you ever watch the Am I Racist with Matt Walsh?
So good.
So good. For anyone who does not have a Daily Wire subscription, it is worth it just to watch that movie. But his interview with Robin DiAngelo.
Oh, so good.
It was so good. He just like made her look like an absolute idiot. So good.
Guys, spoiler alert. He made her pay the black cameraman out of her purse.
And she was like, this is kind of weird. But
he made her pay reparations.
He made her pay reparations, and she thought it was weird.
She thought it was weird, but she did it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's worse than a grift because it's all based off of a Marxist religion that people are using to try and empower and enrich themselves.
Yeah, which is the hilarious part about Marxism is that people use it to get rich themselves.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be
about equality,
the working class,
and everyone is equal. We all get the same. It's a complete inversion of reality.
Well, and this has been going on for a while. So they have been wrecking the FAA. Again, I am not saying that DEI is responsible for what happened at that Washington airport.
No.
And I'm not saying that I think that it was appropriate timing for Trump to bring that up.
Correct. I agree with that.
But I think it's very much Big Lebowski. No, Walter, you're not wrong. You're just an asshole. But here's the thing. Everybody on the other side's a freaking asshole. Every time an insane, evil gunman goes into a school, what do?
We need to get these guns out of people's hands. Semi-automatic weapons, assault rifles, they should be banned.
Yep.
And it's immediate, yes.
I forget his name, but one of Obama's top advisors said, never let a crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
So they've been doing that for years. So did I cringe a little bit when this air collision happened and literally within 24 hours, Trump was talking about getting DEI out of the FAA? Yeah, I did.
Yep, me too.
I did. But
not wrong.
He's not wrong. And you know what? They've weaponized the same way against Second Amendment law-abiding gun owners, you know?
They've been doing that for years, and they can't even tell you what an assault weapon is because there's no such thing.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to whataboutism. I don't like doing that, but you know what?
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah, you know what? You guys created this monster. You guys are the ones that have used the USAID as your slush fund to do all this nonsense. You guys are the ones that have been money laundering and using these levers of power by bureaucrats, non-elected bureaucrats. And you're just pissed because
we're taking it away from you.
Because you don't get to do it anymore.
We're taking your toy away.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but this is not new. Here's a little clip of Tucker talking about this. This is like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is nothing new.
It's not new at all.
All right, let's check this out.
A biographical questionnaire whose purpose was not hiring skilled controllers. In fact, the more skills you had, the fewer points you got, perversely. But instead, the point was ensuring the hiring of people who were of the right race. It was insane, of course, dangerous, yes, and it sparked a major reaction. Now, the Department of Transportation says it is ready to revise those policies in the name of public safety. Stephen Bradbury is the General Counsel of the Department of Transportation, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Bradbury, thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me on, Tucker.
So it was a pretty simple story, and I think the fix is pretty simple. Can you assure our viewers that air traffic controllers will be hired solely on the basis of relevant criteria? In other words, how good they are at air traffic controlling, and not on the basis of irrelevant criteria like their appearance?
That's right. We're making a change to no longer use that biographical assessment that the FAA has used since 2014 and that you featured on your show.
So yeah, that's my mistake. It's actually later. That was after 2014. So 2014 was when they implemented that policy.
That's when they said they were going to do it.
Right.
But we just heard an advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you're not white, come
and,
get a job with the FAA.
And that one was during the Biden administration. Was when that one came out.
And then we also just heard a clip of someone that Biden nominated to be the head of the FAA.
Yeah.
Who had no idea any of the regulations, didn't even know how plane could lose control. I mean, knew nothing.
Yeah.
Knew nothing.
It's just kind of mind-boggling. And I think that the American people are finally starting to see, hey, this is kind of stupid. I mean, you always have, the crazy people that are going to die on this hill. But the problem is that they don't have any real hills to die on, so they're dying on these mole hills. I think it actually has started to destroy the Democrat Party. I really do. I think they're incredibly fractured right now. Not irreparably damaged, but I think at least for the next probably 8 to 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Republicans in control of the government for the next 8 years.
Well, they're extremely exposed, and they don't have a true leader.
Mm-hmm.
They're exposed because of Biden.
Yes, for sure.
The best thing that could have happened was them attempting to impeach Trump twice.
Mm-hmm.
Them rigging the election through social media and the censorship of the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mm-hmm.
And there were many other levers of power that were pulled that I'm not going to get into or speculate on. But everything came to a head.
It all coalesced.
And it's all undeniable.
Yeah.
Everything that we are seeing right now, Americans did not have a change of heart and all of a sudden be like, okay, I guess Trump's
No, it
pretty
wasn't.
cool.
It wasn't a change of heart.
No.
It was the scales fell off of everyone's eyes, and they're like, they saw.
Holy crap. The amount of lies, the amount of gaslighting that went on, and the hubris that they have
to just do it out in
to
the
just
open.
keep doing it.
Yeah, and
they're
out
like,
in the
"What-
open.
Why did we lose white guys? I don't know. Maybe because you're telling
You're
guys
telling us we're toxic.
that they were toxic
Yeah,
and that we're part of the problem.
yeah. I'm not going to get into
Yeah.
expletives, but
Yeah.
it's like F you.
Yeah. What makes you think you can treat people that way? What makes you think you can tell people that their daughters need to suffer through having a boy with male genitals changing in their locker rooms?
Yeah.
What makes you think that when you say that to people, that all of a sudden everybody's just going to be like, okay? It's proof that they think that society and governmental systems are some sort of social experiment and that they are at some elite level of which they can just manipulate all those things.
And the corruption has gotten so embedded and so widespread in the government. And that's why everybody's freaking out right now with all the cuts that Trump's making, all the moves that he's making. And I love how fast he's going. I love how Dan Bongino calls it Rock'em Sock'em Robots. You remember the Rock'em Sock'em Robots?
Move fast and break stuff.
Yeah, move fast and break stuff, right? Because the corruption is so widespread and everyone is so panicked because they know it's coming for them. And even some of the politicians that people think are authentic are just as corrupt as the swampiest of swamp donkeys, like Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
Right?
And they're all being
they're
exposed.
Like, oh, Bernie, he's so, I just think he's authentic. He really believes in what he's saying. The guy's a millionaire. He's never worked a job in his life. He's always been in the government.
Do you support these onesies?
Yeah,
Do you support the onesies?
Do you support the onesies? I have a pretty good Bernie Sanders.
These are onesies. They are clothing for little babies.
Do you support the onesies? These onesies were funded by your corporation, by your business. Do you support this onesie?
I have no affiliation with that. I resigned.
Do you support the one seat? Since we've gotten into the...
Sorry about all that.
I actually wanted to get that clip just because I wanted to play it because it's hilarious, but I forgot to get it. But
so funny. They're panicking. They're panicking. Everybody that's corrupt is panicking because all the doors are opening. All the shades are being pulled.
Yep.
And they're all panicking. That's why they're freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because they care about these DEI initiatives.
No. It's not because they care about foreign aid.
It's because they're losing power because they got voted out.
Yep. And they're getting exposed and they may go to prison in some cases. Like we were talking about Bernie Sanders, maybe not panicking as much as some, but he's getting exposed too. We've got a real interesting clip here for all of you who think that Bernie Sanders is an upstanding, moral politician who believes in what he preaches, and he is out for the good of the common man, and he's a true democratic socialist. Take a listen to this.
By the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry. And protecting their interests.
Oh, I thought that would come. No. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
In 2020, you were the single largest
because I had
receiver of pharmaceutical money.
From workers all over this country. Workers,
you were the
not a nickel from corporate
tax. You were the single largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in
1.5 million.
He knows he's trapped right there. And so he has to say, no. It's from the workers, not from the... Okay, how much money do quote-unquote workers in pharmaceutical companies make? You're still talking about people who are higher on the social ladder than most Americans. Do you really think that these people who are making this money with a really good job, with a company that's making hundreds of billions of dollars, do you really think that they believe in Bernie Sanders socialism?
I don't even know if I believe what he's saying.
No.
Well, I thought this might, whatever that was really weird. I don't even know if I believe what he's saying. Elizabeth Warren was freaking out and trying to get RFK to promise not to sue
pharmaceutical companies.
And it's like, you guys really trying to do this in Congress? You think that the American people aren't going to see through it after all the lies that we've been through?
Look, this is how boring I am. I watched that entire confirmation hearing. It was like 3 hours long. That's how boring I am. I watched that entire confirmation hearing. What really struck me was that RFK has been a Democrat his whole life. All of his views are really liberal. I honestly believe that Trump took him in because if you have ever listened to an interview with RFK Jr., you can tell as soon as the topics of health and safety come up, he lights up, and you can tell that's what he's into.
Well, and he also knows that there are things that are making Americans sick that aren't allowed in other countries. He knows a lot of that information.
He does. And that's somebody you can tell is authentically interested in this thing. And I truly believe that that's why Trump is trying to appoint him to that, because I'm a pretty cynical person. I truly believe that I'm seeing something new for the first time in my life in politics that I haven't seen before, which is an authenticity in Trump, in RFK Jr., in J.D. Vance, in Kash Patel.
Even in Tulsi.
Tulsi.
They don't...
I'm seeing some sincerity in some of these people.
Yeah, because
And
they're all strange bedfellows. Like,
Yes.
it doesn't make sense.
completely disparate.
Other than the fact that they all are pointed in a direction.
Yes.
You know?
And watching this confirmation hearing was so interesting. When you see someone who, at least in my opinion, seems authentically driven to try to help get this country healthy again, to help get all the crap out of our food, to help level out the pharmaceutical industry and get them back in line. It was so interesting to see the divide. It was pretty much party line. Democrats absolutely do not want him in charge. And it's like, why is that? Why is that? These people are so corrupt and they hate you so much that they don't give a shit that you're eating shit, dying younger, that you're living with chronic disease, because the sicker you are, the more money they get from their pharma donors. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
For any industry, you can't have the people that regulate them allowing them to regulate themselves.
Right.
And then
Correct.
and then getting paid. They're terrified because it's all about to collapse.
Yes.
I can't think of a better person than Kash Patel.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
They're done. Their grift is over.
Mm-hmm.
It's done.
Absolutely. It's done. They know it. They see the writing on the wall.
Yep.
They're scrambling. They're preparing to jump off the deck of the Titanic.
It's all about financial loss, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's all follow the money. They don't give a shit about DEI.
Nope.
They don't give a shit about trans people.
Nope.
They don't give a shit about gay people. They don't give a shit about black people. You go to any inner city that's been run by Democrats for more than 20 years, you see it doesn't work.
Nope.
It doesn't work. The whole thing doesn't work. And I think even some people in Hollywood, after what just happened with the wildfires, I think even some people are waking up out there. That's a bizarre place to think that anybody would open their eyes.
Yeah.
You know,
because it is literally make-believe land.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like anything. You follow the money. You follow the money. Big Pharma and Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
His exchange with Elizabeth Warren, where he was like, look, Pocahontas, you're telling me not to sue pharmaceutical companies. Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you fighting for the American people or are you fighting for the pharmaceutical companies? You know? And look, RFK is not anti-vax. He just wants good science.
He wants good testing and good science.
He wants good science and he wants good regulation. And I don't know why people are so opposed to that, unless
your congressman and your news media.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press Data Download brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer.
On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Authoritarians posing as physicians are demanding that certain classes of Americans must be prohibited from traveling within their own country.
The administration missed a big opportunity this week to tell the American people that we're going to mandate vaccination for air travel in the United States.
Okay. It's an old saying. It's been true for a long time, and it's still true. Follow the money.
Follow the money, and you will find the source of the corruption.
Yeah. If you want to know why something is corrupt, why they're looking into USAID, You want to know why they're taking DEI out of the FAA. You want to know why Biden pardoned his family. You want to know why Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are really upset about one of Trump's nominees. You want to know why senators are so upset about nominating Kash Patel and any of these other people. They're going to get confirmed.
Follow the money.
Why are they freaking out?
Follow the money.
It's not about starving children in Africa. I can tell you that right now.
Nope. It's always about corruption. All people have the capacity for good and the capacity for evil. You can't ever assume that these people, any of them, are in it doing this for you or for the country. You have to always be skeptical of these people. And to think otherwise, that these people never do anything bad, never do anything self-serving, never lie, never cheat, is simply childish belief.
I want to say that I will continue to maintain that skepticism.
Yes, me too.
And I will hold Trump and all of his nominees to account.
I will, and I hope you will make the commitment. Hey, when they do something that is wrong or even something we disagree with, we'll call it out. Yeah. Because I'm not, and Andy is not, we're not these sycophants. We're not these Trump or die people. We think what we're seeing is legitimate, but yes, we will always remain skeptical because, as the name of the podcast indicates, we're in this for the truth. We want the truth to be first and foremost because that's what will set everybody free.
That being said, I would be lying if I said I wasn't excited about everything that's happening right now.
Yeah, I am too.
Because what is happening right now is a reckoning.
Yes.
This is a reckoning, and it's a long time coming.
Yes.
And this is not about vengeance. This is about truth and about what is right.
Yep. It's about justice.
Yes. Yeah.
It's about justice.
Yep.
And I'm just as excited as you are. We can only wait and see.
Yep.
So I guess that's it. Thanks, everybody. Downloading, listening, streaming, whatever it is you're doing on whatever platform you're doing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please help us spread the word. Like us, share us, subscribe to us, share us on social media. We want to keep doing it. We love doing it. And last but not least, Return of the Logos, not brought to you by Pfizer.
We'll see you next time, guys.